So let's get started. Hey guys, my name is Jiri Kupiainen. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Shark Punch. Our main product is called Playfield, and what we do is basically game discovery. Today I'm here to talk about advertising, user acquisition, and basically, there's been a lot of talk in this track about how broken advertising is right now. So we're going to look at some alternative ways of getting good quality users for your game. If you came here expecting to have Mikael Gumerus talk about awesome data stuff, then you are 24 hours late, because we had to switch slots, but that's not on the printed program. But I mean, that talk went, but this one is way better anyway, so you didn't miss much. No, I'm kidding. So, quick background on myself. I've been doing this stuff for a while, so actually half of my life at this point. So I joined the industry when I was 16. Worked on a bunch of stuff from mobile games to console games to PC games to gaming media, all kinds of stuff. I founded a bunch of companies. So first one when I was 17, second one about 7 years ago, and that one was actually acquired by Disney. So I spent a couple of years being a vice president of technology at Disney, and then I left and founded Shark Punch. Shark Punch started as an indie game developer, so we made a game called The Master Plan. We went through Steam Greenlight, Steam Early Access, all this stuff, and then we kind of pivoted to doing kind of trying to help other developers find an audience. But anyway, we're not going to talk about Playfield. We're going to talk about this. So the thing I see in Finland, I have a lot of friends in Finland who started game development studios, and the Finnish game development studio model seems to be that first, you spend several years, make a really kick-ass game, like make a beautiful, awesome game. Don't think about advertising at all. Don't think about how you're going to get users, because you know you can always call Apple, and Apple is going to feature your game, and then you're done. Of course, that's not the reality, because yes, Apple will feature your game, and you get millions of users, and then the featuring stops, and you stop getting users. So then the next step is always like, okay, well, we're just going to start buying some advertisements and it'll be fine. But I mean, obviously it's not fine. I mean, mobile advertising, game advertising is kind of fucked. And, I just jumped like 10 slides. Let's go back. So yeah, I mean, this is of course why it's fucked. Because the formula is really simple. I mean, we all know this. I mean, as long as the lifetime value of a user is more than the cost per install, then you make money. And if you make money, you can keep spending more money on ads. The problem for us kind of smaller guys is that you have a couple of very big companies that have massive amounts of money in the bank account that have massive lifetime values. You get people like Supercell, you get Machine Zone, King, whatever. And the problem is that if you are a startup, you just raised €1 million for your company. The problem you have is that €1 million has to pay for your development, has to pay for your user acquisition, has to pay for supporting the business. And often there's also cash flow issues. Like, I mean, you get money from Apple, but you need to spend that on advertising before you get the money. So it's kind of a problem. So basically, obviously, like, you need to think about your LTV. Like, you should do everything you can to increase the amount of money you make from your players. But I think you should also think about lowering the CPI. Like, are there ways that you can get high-quality users without spending any money? So there's some alternatives, right? I was actually, on the previous slide, I was told that I should not use the hryvnia sign, I should use euro. But anyway, so I'm just going to use dollars. You have a couple of ways. I mean, featuring does work. I mean, it's awesome if you get on the App Store front page. But I think kind of more sustainable models are around, people telling other people your game is awesome. That doesn't cost anything, and it's really, really high-quality users you get from that. Kind of an extension of that is working with influencers, so people who have massive audiences who want to hear what they think. You get those guys talking about your game, and you will get good users. And finally, of course, there's media. I mean, media still works. If you get all the games press, talking about your game, you will have a lot of people buying it. I mean, pretty obvious stuff. There's a lot more channels, but we're going to focus on these. And we're going to start with an example that has some problems. I mean, No Man's Sky, obviously, it's the biggest PC release this year, this far. And they had a pretty clear user acquisition model, right? And their model is just hype the shit out of it. Like, don't let anybody play the game. Just talk about how massive it is. 83 trillion planets to explore. You're going to meet all these other players, and you can do cool stuff, and you can fly your spaceship, and you can land it and get out of the spaceship and shoot aliens and whatever. So they were hyping this for a long time. The games media was eating it up. And when they launched, I mean, everybody bought the game. And then and they realized that actually it wasn't really the truth, right? So people have been pretty disappointed with No Man's Sky. And I'm not blaming the developers. I mean, Hello Games is a small studio, right? It's like a dozen guys, in England, and they just wanted to make this massive game. And I think they tried their best, but I think the problem they had is that, it wasn't truthful. I mean, when they launched the game, you had like all the game's media, all the influencers that were hyping the game before, they started shitting on them. They just went like, hey, you know what? Like, you've been lying to us all the time. And you can see that. I mean, you can see this from the charts. I mean, like in the lower left corner, that's the amount of people who own the game. Blue is the amount of people who actually play the game, and this has been declining since they launched the game. And the thing they really fucked up is that they betrayed the trust of their fans, right? They launched the game, it had issues. Instead of like actively talking with the community, getting things fixed, explaining how things are how they are, instead they just went to radio silence. So on the top chart is this guy's Twitter timeline, and he hasn't posted a single thing on Twitter for a month now. All the patches they released, there's no explanation of what they've fixed, and the community is just like they hate these guys now. So even though yes, they made a lot of they sold a lot of copies because of the hype, it's going to be very hard for these guys to launch their next game because they betrayed the trust of the community. Have you guys heard about this game? Anyone? Okay, this is pretty cool. This is made by Sluggerfly. It's basically two guys in Germany, pretty interesting guys. And this is the game. So yeah, in this game you play Ben. Ben is a zombie, and I think it's something like Ben's friend Ed has been captured or whatever, and Ben needs to rescue him. So he does that by running through these like death mazes and getting chopped into pieces. And but the cool thing is that he keeps running. Like even if he's missing legs, he will still keep going on. And, so it's a funny game. But the thing about this game is that from day one, they wanted to make a game that is going to make for awesome GIF animations. Like that was the whole US strategy. It's like we're going to make a game that when people play it, they want to capture that video, put it online, and share it with other people. Like from day one, the game design and the user acquisition were hand in hand. And the way they did this was very kind of obvious. Do you guys know 9gag? So yeah, 9gag is it's a website that has like funny videos, funny images, whatever, very kind of dumb stuff. But what these guys did, they took that GIF animation, posted it on 9gag. They didn't say that they are the developers of the game, but they didn't also claim to be anyone else. They were like, hey, here's a cool video, what do you guys think? And it got really popular. It ended up on the front page. They would have hundreds of people asking in the comments like, hey, what's this game? And they would answer everybody, oh, it's Ben and Ed, it's the thing we're doing, you can get it on Steam. And interestingly, when that happened, then it showed up everywhere else, because on the internet, if you have a cool piece of content, you post that on 9gag, it's going to end up on Reddit, it's going to end up on Imgur. So they got this like massive publicity for the game without paying anything. They just made this one GIF and posted it everywhere. The next thing they did is that now that they had been on the front page of Imgur and 9gag, they started emailing influencers, so YouTube streamers, saying that, hey guys, we made this little game, and people online love us, 9gag loves us, so maybe you should make a video. And a lot of people did make videos. Jacksepticeye, who's a big YouTube influencer, he made a video of the game, and then what happened is that when he did the video, every other YouTuber also wanted to make a video. So they got millions and millions and millions of views, all based on that one GIF animation. They didn't pay a penny for that. We're going to talk about mobile games a little bit. So, Best Fiends, it's a very simple casual game made by Seriously, which is a company based in Helsinki and LA. Actually co-founded by one of my former co-founders. These guys are spending money. They're spending quite a lot of money on advertising, but they don't spend a penny on traditional ads. They don't buy banner ads. They don't buy video ads. What they do is they pay influencers to talk about their game. And they are really good at it. I mean, they they're always kind of fine-tuning. They look at like who's the audience, like who are the players who are spending the most time, most money on best Fiends, and then they actively seek out YouTube influencers that have the same audience, and then they work with those guys. Like they don't just go like, hey, here's 50,000, make a video. They go like, hey, we have this great idea, let's do a partnership. They create unique content with the influencers. They work with them to create kind of customized pieces of content that are about best Fiends, but that also really talk to the influencers' audience. So it's very kind of like very honest. I mean, yes, it's sponsored, but it's such good stuff that no one cares that it's sponsored. And they've been pretty successful. I mean, the chart here is their App Store rankings, and you can see they've gotten better and better, and now they're always like in the very top of the App Store. And I mean, other thing they've been doing is that they work with all these influencers, but they also actively tell the influencers that, hey, you should tell these guys to follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, blah blah blah, follow us on Instagram. And these guys actually have I think about 5 million people in different social medias that follow seriously. And I mean, at this point, like you have these guys, you don't need to spend money to get them to play your next game because they love you. They saw that one video by the guy they love. It was a funny video. They installed the game. They liked the game because they're the right demographic for it. And now they're your fans, so you will never have to spend money to reach them again. And another thing that's happened is that because they work with all these like top influencers, what usually happens then, like if the smaller guys see a really big influencer make a video, then all the smaller guys are going to make a video as well. So yes, they paid PewDiePie a lot of money to make a video, but they actually got 100 videos because all the other guys also made one and they didn't get paid. So also, again, like yes, it's paid, but it's pretty fucking smart. There's a lot more examples. I mean, and hopefully you know these companies. If you don't, you should pay attention. So Bossa, based in the UK, they made interesting games such as I Am Bread, Surgeon Simulator, and crazy stuff. And the way they do it is they just work with the community. Like they work with their fans. Like, hey, like we made this prototype of a game where you play a piece of bread, and the fans go like, oh, that's fucking awesome. Like we need to see this game. And they work with influencers, so they go to influencers and they're like, hey, we made a game about being a piece of bread. Like we think your fans would love this game. But then they go further. Like they actually do custom content. So they will put the influencer in the game, for example. Because at that point, like when he's playing the game, he's like, I'm in it. He loves it. The fans love it. Everybody gets something out of it. TinyBuild, they do it kind of differently. So TinyBuild does a lot with Twitch. So they have a lot of features. I mean, they're adding more and more features in their game directly. That helps people who play it stream it, and just like again, like it's free influencer marketing. Whenever you have a big streamer playing your game, you get people buying it. Very simple. Traplight is another one, so that's based in Finland. They made a mobile game called Big Bang Racing. They also do YouTube marketing, but they haven't spent a penny on it. What they do is basically for every influencer that does a video, they make a little customized piece of content. So there's like a hat, or there's a mask, or there's whatever. There's something custom in the game that's made just for that influencer. And when you think about that, I mean, like it takes these guys like maybe 3 hours to make that custom hat. But in exchange for that 3 hours, they get someone who has millions of viewers making a video about their game, and all those guys buying the game. So I mean, again, yeah, you're spending some time, but I mean, the payoff is massive compared to like traditional advertising. So, what can we learn? Hopefully something at least. Just ignore the text. I just thought it was a funny GIF. So here's a Venn diagram that looks a little bit like a penis. Very small one, but anyway. I think like one of the key lessons is that when you look at all these guys, like what they've done is like when they make the game, they're always thinking about game design, who's the audience, and how they're going to reach that audience. So I mean, yeah, Ben and Ed, it's the game is obviously made for like dudes in their 20s, 15 to 25. Where do these guys hang out? Well, they hang out on 9gag. What do? They share funny videos with each other. So they built the whole game for that. So they know where these guys are, how to reach them, what do they like, how should the game play for these guys to enjoy it. And they didn't spend any money on marketing, and they've been pretty successful with it. Same thing with No Man's Sky. I mean, No Man's Sky is like that one PC game that every gamer wants to exist. It's like you can do everything in this game, and it's bigger than anything else, bigger than the universe. So obviously, yeah, like PC gamers fucking love that stuff, right? And they know that you can reach these guys through kind of these traditional medias. Well, traditional. I mean, rock paper shotgun, Polygon, whatever. So they just work with those guys. They would just talk about how awesome and how big the game is. They built the whole game for this hype. I don't know if it's on purpose or not, but still, it kind of like, again, like it all kind of clicks. The game is designed for hype, and they've used the channels that help you create hype. Even Best Fiends. I mean, Best Fiends, there's no offense to seriously, but there's not a whole lot going on in the game design department there. I mean, it's a simple casual game, but still, I mean, they're always kind of fine-tuning it. So I mean, because they do, they know their audience, they know what kind of people play casual games. They find the influencers who have this audience, and it might be like someone who has like a cooking channel. Like that doesn't matter, because like, hey, the cooking channel dude or dudette has an audience of like 30-year-old women who play a lot of casual games. So they work with that guy, they find the right angle, they customize the game a little bit to kind of work better for that guy, and again, they've been pretty massively successful. Sorry, this is kind of slow. Okay. Another thing, I mean, I already kind of touched on this many times, but I think like when you do this content stuff, when you do this community stuff, it has big network effects, so it always trickles down. So whenever there's a successful piece of content on a major website, all the other ones will take it as well, and it will spread a lot further than just that one place. So if you're going to do this thing, then like just pick your target, like just pick the website that you know the best, whether it's 9gag or Reddit or whatever else. Just make it successful there, and it will show up in a bunch of other big places as well. Yeah, similarly, I mean, the whole seriously influencer thing, like you just identify the key influencers in that space, pay them to make a video, and suddenly you get 100 other guys making a video. And yeah, I mean, even Hello Games, right? Like they knew that if the big games media are gonna talk about their game, then everybody else is gonna talk about it as well, which happened, right? Another thing is like when you work with influencers, it's not a good idea to treat them like an advertising platform. Like you can't just go to them and go like, hey, here's money, make a video, see ya. Like it's whenever you do like an actual partnership, when you actually work with them to create something unique, the results are a lot better. So when you think of the examples, I mean, these guys are, for example, hiding little Easter eggs in their games. And then they might kind of hint to a specific influencer that, oh, hey, if you go to this area and you do this thing, you're going to find something cool. So then the influencer makes a video. They get to look cool because they discovered this thing. And all their fans go like, oh, this guy I love is so good at playing this game because he found this Easter egg. Well, actually, he was probably told it's there. But hey, I mean, like, it feels genuine, it feels awesome, and I mean, there's not really any harm in it, right? Same thing with all the influencer-specific content. I mean, it's very cheap, and influencers just love that. I mean, all these guys are gamer nerds, so if they have a chance to have their face in a game that they love, I mean, obviously, they want that. And I mean, if it costs me 100 euros to do that, and I get PewDiePie to make a video, then the ROI is a pretty good one there. And yeah, I mean, I guess the third thing is that you need to keep working. Like, I mean, seriously when they find an influencer that clicks, they keep doing more videos with that guy. They keep brainstorming with the guy. Like, hey, like, the audience really loved the Easter egg video, so how about we would do this thing next year? And like, they keep kind of building that relationship. Because when you think about it, like, if the audience match is really good, like the influencer has the same audience as your game, then you're both going to get more engaged fans and users if you keep working together. It's kind of like you're reinforcing each other and you're reinforcing each other's brands. Trust is important. So, I mean, you probably can't see shit here, but basically what it says is that the first one is recommendations from people I know. So that's like if let's say Reiner tells me that, hey, you should check out this game, I will check out the game, and I will do my best to actually understand why it's good. The lowest all those are traditional ads. So trust is very, very important, and authenticity is very, very important. But I mean, there's also ways to kind of fuck that up. So I mean, this is something we've learned. So our first game, the master plan, as I said, we did early access and everything, and we worked with the community a lot. Then we released the game. We saw the sales numbers. It made some money, but it did not make enough money. So we basically stopped supporting it. And since that day that we stopped releasing patches, our Steam ranking has just been going down and down and down. Because they're saying like, oh, these guys stopped supporting the game, which is true. So I mean, it's totally valid. But I mean, you can tell how like gamers, when they feel betrayed, they just take a dump on you. They get very bitter and they will never buy your games again, maybe, or unless you get them hyped up. Well, No Man's Sky obviously is a very big one. I mean, big lesson in this. You know, they were not authentic. They were not genuine in what they said, and the big thing is that they made influencers look bad, because like the only thing these influencers and this media have is their fans' kind of faith and trust in them. You know, like I trust that your opinions are good ones. So if you have an influencer who's been hyping No Man's Sky, and then No Man's Sky gets released and it's a shit game, like it's not just it's not just bad for the developer. Like the influencer looks really bad in that case as well. And the way they kind of react in that case is that they will make a new video where they basically say very bad things about your game, because that's how they can kind of like reclaim the trust their fans used to having them. So it's super, like whenever you work with like social stuff, communities or influencers, you have to be genuine. You can't hide this stuff. Ben and Ed, they were kind of on the fence here, because like they didn't say that they are the developers of the game, but they didn't also claim to be anyone else. And when they were asked, they would say like, hey, we made this game, but we thought it was cool, so we wanted to show it to you. And that's still fine. That's still fine. But if they had gone to 9gag pretending they're just regular users, and someone found out that they're actually the developers, it wouldn't have gone that well. Actually, it would have gone very bad. Seriously as well, I mean, Seriously works with a whole lot of different kinds of influencers, and they give these guys a lot of creative freedom. Like basically they go, okay, we have this idea, but you make the video because it has to feel real. It has to feel like the influencer like came up with it, and they love this and they wanted to do this. But they do have controls, so they tell these guys, okay, here's kind of the idea. If you like it, you should make a video. But they will still check every single video, and if it feels like the influencer is just trying to sell you crap, the video doesn't get released. And I think it's like super crucial. Like you can see this on YouTube. Like whenever a big influencer does a video that's obviously just an advertisement that they got paid for, and they don't care about the game, they get really like low ratings. People don't watch the video, and you just wasted your money, and you might have gotten a bad reputation as well. So I mean, just like last one is like, because I think this influencer stuff is actually super important right now. And I think everybody should do more in that space. But there's a couple of ways to do this. So what the Ben and Ed guys did, they just worked with influencers directly. They would just like spend a lot of time just finding the right ones, the ones that made videos about similar games, and then they would just email them like, hey, we were pretty big on 9gag, so maybe you should make a video. That was pretty successful, but they spent weeks doing this. And the problem they had is that these guys don't answer their emails. So I mean, if you email a big YouTuber, they get hundreds of emails every day from people wanting them to make a video. And the thing is, like, they had no idea if anybody was going to make a video when they launched. So they launched the game, and they have no idea what kind of advertising they're going to get. I mean, luckily, they had Jacksepticeye make a video, and it was a success. But they didn't know that until he made that video. There's a bunch of platforms. So if you want to kind of reach a lot of influencers, there's a bunch of platforms where you can go, set some parameters, and try to find the right one. That's still actually very manual. So you still have to review every single influencer yourself. So you have to look at the videos, see if they're a good match, blah blah. And at least, so we did a campaign with one of the really big platforms earlier this year, and we were promoting a gaming thing, and we got proposals from Indian car mechanics. We got proposals from beauty bloggers. We got proposals from cooking channels. So it's like, hey, I have this really successful cake channel, so I think I should talk about your game. That's okay. Well, probably not. So I mean, it's like it's a little bit easier, but I mean, the reality is that it's a pain in the ass to work with these guys. There's MCNs. So MCNs are multi-channel networks. So basically, it's a company that manages the monetization for a lot of influencers. So you pay the MCN some money, and they promise to get you a lot of views from their network. There's also kind of traditional agents, like Hollywood style. It's just like you give them 50,000, and you hope you get something good out of it. The problem with this is that you have no visibility into what's happening. So you don't actually know where the money goes. You don't know if they paid the influencers anything at all. But what you will know is that you probably paid double what you would pay otherwise. So I've been talking to a very large company at this conference that told me that they estimate that the price is double if you work through an MCN. The good thing is that you can reach a lot of people that way, but the bad thing is that you don't actually know how it's going to happen, who are the people, and you don't know how much you're actually paying for it. And finally, the kind of sales part. So we are at Shark Punch, we are working on something related to all this stuff I talked about. So if you want to talk more about this, then just find me at the party or after this presentation or what have you. Cool.
So the content you mentioned is often very funny, so it's very easy to get virality out of funny stuff.
Yeah.
How about more complex stuff like example before World of Tank launches?
Yeah.
How would you get virality out of that?
Yeah, we've kind of learned this the hard way ourselves. So the game we made, Masterplan, is it's a very hardcore tactical top-down game, and you can get really funny moments out of it. And we had some success, posting GIFs on various services and whatnot. But the problem there was that because people had only seen those funny moments, so they came in with really false expectations about the game. Because they're like, oh, this is like a cool Tarantino shooter thing. And then they buy the game and they're like, oh, this game is shit. This is the worst game I've bought. Because they were expecting just like bang, bang, bang. And then they got this like nerdy clicking game, where nothing much happens. So I mean, yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like you have to when you think about the game design, it has to be hand in hand with how you're going to reach your users. I mean, if you got a massively boring, ugly strategy game, then no, you're probably not going to be very big on 9gag or Reddit. It doesn't work for all games. But on the other hand, then Twitch, people are playing some games that to me are incredibly boring. And they still get massive audiences. So I think you can still work with the community and the influencers, but you kind of have to figure out which platforms are the right ones for the game.
Pretty interesting, thank you very much. Yeah, so one of the first about the premium games, let's say it like that. Yeah, that's quite cool. And for us, and what is interesting that what I think about the No Man's Sky, that there are different opinions about that. Yeah, they somehow sold it, but I think that the problem of No Man's Sky that they somehow made these mixed genres, yeah, and they bombed that to different audiences. As example, it's not simulator, yeah, so but the people thought that maybe it's simulator, yeah, so and they thought, okay, when you start to play, you can just jump on the planet and that's it, yeah, so and that's also kind of the problem of the premium market that you can't just come now to the premium market and make a next platformer. Because you can't compete with the Inside, as example, or Raven game, yeah. So you can't make the same game because it's a high quality game, yeah. And therefore a lot of game developers and studios, they make these mixed genres games, they like this is a text game and this simulator and this something else, and they have kind of difficulties to find their community, yeah. And what would you say? If there is a company which has only started, indie company, they have kind of indie, nice project, they believe in that. Yeah, so where to start, how to find this community? Yeah, so, because influencers, you get it when you already have something to play, when you have already green light, when you have a game. You share the key, you get maybe influencer who will play your game, and then you will get the pyre. But where to start? Yes, so I mean where you have to start. Shall you somehow share some examples or some demos of your game already on the first how to say stages? You know what I mean?
So you're on Steam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because obviously for mobile it's very different, but so we did green light, we did early access, and we actually we were sending out playables at the point where the game had no graphics, because it is Masterplan was a kind of a unique game as well.
And where you send it without the graphics? Sorry.
No, so obviously initially we would just send it to our games industry friends, and see if we can get just send them crappy build and explain what we're trying to do and see what are the things that they got excited about. And then kind of focus on that. So, because when you do early access, you see people if you have a lot of different kind of genres in your game, you see that people get excited about specific features really, And at least we were just like, we just promoted those. You know, like we didn't talk about, oh, this is a mix of these game categories. We were like, hey, this is a game where you can do this thing that's really cool, because everybody says it's really cool. So I think, I mean, I wouldn't worry about the kind of the genres too much. I think just like kind of get people playing and see when they smile, and then just take that moment and talk about that to other people.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
What do you think about have a phenomenon about game Pokemon Go? So the social phenomenon.
Wow. I think it's interesting. I mean, it's actually really massive in Finland. I mean, to a point where it's ridiculous. Like we have a park next to our office that there's one spot where you can reach 3 Pokestops. So that place is like 24 hours a day. You have like 100 people just standing there, just doing this. But I mean, I don't know about Pokemon. I mean, I think, you know, it's like the game isn't that different from Niantic's previous game. So I think for them it was just like the massive brand, you know. It's just like you get all these people who used to, you know, watch or play Pokemon as kids, and now they can finally play it on their phone, and that's that. I mean, it's the same thing that's going to happen with the other Nintendo games, right? People go like, oh, I love Mario, so I'm going to get the Mario running game, which is, I think, a weird idea. Why don't they just make a Mario game? But I mean, so I don't really have any kind of a good answer to that. I think it's interesting. I think the social element has helped a lot in spreading that, but you know, it does look like it's kind of maybe dying down a little bit.
I got a question about Playfield, actually.
Yeah.
The first one is like, how do you actually attract users to Playfield? Do you actually use the techniques you're talking about today? That's a first question. And the second question is actually about Playfield, because it's like a curation system, right, for users. And how do you differentiate Playfield from Steam, actually, who is trying really hard right now to use the curation for games, because they know they have like thousands of games, and it's really hard for users to find what they are looking for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to answer the first one, and actually kind of the second one as well, is that we're a lot more focused on content. Like I think, you know, game discovery should be a lot more about just like seeing something awesome, like all this stuff, like just doing this on like kind of like a consistent basis. Like we want people to go to Playfield every day and every day see something they enjoy and either buy the game or just kind of follow it, like, oh, I want to hear more about this game before I make the decision. So that's kind of like, I mean, obviously it would be kind of hard to make a really cool GIF animation of Playfield. I don't think we're going to be on the front page of 9gag. But I mean, we're focused a lot more on just like making sure we have great content and building more social channels and tools for people to kind of share that content with other people, if that makes sense. And as for the second question, I think I think Steam has really, like, since we started, Steam has improved their discovery stuff a lot, like to a massive degree. But I think it's still like, Steam is not a daily destination. Like the Steam client is something you just kind of have to have there, but I don't know many people who like actually want to go to the Steam front page every single day. Whereas if you have this like content first philosophy, and it's like, hey, even if I'm not looking to buy a game, I still have a reason to go to Playfield, because, you know, there's cool stuff that I enjoy. And I mean, maybe I see something that's cool enough that makes me want to buy the game. And I think Valve has a pretty funny approach to content. I mean, because, you know, they tried to work with Twitch, didn't work out, so instead they built their own Twitch clone that no one is using. So I think Valve is kind of, the mindset they have is that they don't really want to work with the platforms where the content is already. They want to own everything. So I think it's going to be kind of hard for them, because like all these communities, they live on YouTube, they live on Twitch, Twitter, Reddit, and our approach is to just integrate with those guys and not try to replace them. Okay, I guess that, yep. Yeah, hey, if you have the conference app, vote for me, because I can get cool stuff because of that. Okay, but thanks, guys.